Okay, now I should see my screen here. Or if you haven't seen it. Okay. Let's look at the problem 2. Here is, okay, give a little time to read the problem. And for some reason, I see a lot of failure in here. So it should be a very straightforward problem. So let's recover from our old drill. So anyone wants to volunteer, speak up your name, your group, and you can start.
What problem are we doing?
Problem number 2. And if somebody already spoke, we will leave the opportunity to other people first. Okay. Anyone for problem 2?
I can do it. Yeah. Niche 5. So if you create a diagram of the rectangle, and if you put a slant diagonal through it, and one side is 30 degrees, that means the other side would be 60 degrees. And you can do that vice versa using alternate like angles, the thing. And since the diagonal's length is 8, then you can use 30, 60, 90 to create, like, get the other values, and then you just add them together and times by 2.
And the answer will be
8 plus 8 root 3.
This is Anish. Avanish. Yeah. Group number?
5.
Okay, thank you. It probably deserve a little bit, just tiny little bit explanation. Oops, it's too high. Okay, so this is all we know. This diagonal is 8, and we know the 30 degree. So Avanish mentioned there is a rule of 30-60, which means when you have 30 degree, the opposite side is always half of the diagonal. Okay, this has to be, you have to know this and use it pretty fluently. So this will be 4, and this one will be 4 square root of 3. And the basic rule is 30 degree, 1 to square root of 3, right? That's the basic ratio. And because this is 8, then this is going to be 4 square root of 3, and 8. So that's all you need. All right. Thank you. Let's move on to problem 4. All right, let's read it. Let me know if you're ready to talk about this one. Oops. Step in anytime.
I can do it. So,
Okay.
the trapezoid, basically, just draw lines from A to the DC line to form a right angle, and from B to the DC line to form another right angle. So AB is 5, and BC is 3 root 2, and since BCD is 45 degrees, that means there's another rule, the 45-90 rule. It's where the two sides, the hypotenuse is the two sides times square root 2. So the two sides have to be 3 in this case. This means the bottom is 5. The bottom segment, the middle bottom segment is 5. And since BDA is 60. We're also in another 30, 60, 90 triangle. I mean, and then the side is 3. That side is 3, yeah. Meaning that side is the bottom times root 3, which is basically root 3. So we add them all together, you get 8 plus square root 3.
And what about this side?
This side would be 2 root 3.
Yeah, because we just mentioned this 30/60, right? So when you have 30/60, there's going to be 1 square 3, 2. The ratio will be 1 square 3 and 2. And since this is 3, so we know the basic element must be square root 3. So you times square root 3 becomes 3, right? So this will become square root 3. And square root 3 of square root 3 is 3. So that's this guy. And 2 square root 3 would be this one. Okay? So the answer would be
8 plus square root 3.
yeah. Everybody followed? I think it's pretty clear. I think this is the, maybe I can do one more problems on the practice book. I think I have it open somewhere. Is that 82? Yeah, 82. How do we remove these annotation again?
Go to the top, click the
Oh, got it.
trash bin, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so I think 82 is something we want to talk about. So this is triangle, the 3 point. I know we haven't really covered the coordinates, but I think it's straightforward enough because this is straightforward enough that you can know some rules by drawing them. Okay. Anyone volunteer on this one?
I created this is Avanish group 5. I created a coordinate plane and made the dots and made the triangle. And I tried to find one second. I tried to find the altitude and where the point is. And I found I think I found 1.5 and 1, but I don't really remember. Or it was the other way. And I just added those together and got 2.5.
Your answer is right, but I don't think it's 1.5 and 1. You may get it right because this requires drawing.
I think it was probably something else, but I don't remember.
Okay, yeah, I'll count it. Well, yeah, because there's some drawing needed. Let me go through it on the whiteboard. Okay. Where is stop sharing? Okay, got it. Okay. Okay, the 3 point. Can somebody remind me what's the 3 point we need? What's point A?
-1, 2.
Oh. -1, 2. So somewhere here. And what about B?
5, 8.
Do it again?
5, 8.
5A. So 5A. So this is B. And C is -1, -7, right?
Find something I like, I stay with it. Clear eyes. The best.
Ooh, what was that? That's interesting. Okay, so what we want to find, so this is parallel to the y-axis, right? And this is what we're looking at. So the ask is, if we have a point that split this line, Well, it does. What do you say? Oh, the triangle have equals. So if the ask is find a point that split this triangle in area, where is that point? Which position of that point in the line BC? Go ahead, Chloe.
The midpoint.
The midpoint, exactly. That's very good. Right? That's obvious, right? If you have a point, you connect this, there has to be the midpoint to split the area because they share the same altitude and you have to have an equal base to make the half. Okay, so this will be the midpoint of BC. How do you get midpoint of 2 points? So if I have points, 2 point x1, y1, x2, y2, what's the midpoint of x1, y1, x2, y2? Do you know? Dylan?
Is it an average?
Yes, it's average. Average of the x and average of y. That's it. Okay. So the midpoint should be, I just write it down because maybe someone don't know what kind of average is that. Okay, is it clear? So we have 2 points, then the midpoint must be x plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. And this applies to all the case, okay? It doesn't have to be positive. It could be anything. And with this, we can find the midpoint, right? So this is, what's the average of the x?
0.5.
Who said 2?
0.5.
No,
It's 0.5. The other one is 2. Wait,
no, no.
No,
I did it the wrong way. It's 2 and 0.5.
There you go. So yeah, let's just do it. So this is -1. This is 5. So -1 plus 5 is 4. And 4 divided by 2 is 2, right? So that's our midpoint of x. And y, this is -7. This is 8. So -7 plus 8 equals
1.
1 and divided by 2.5. This is, so you want to add these together, that's 2.5. Okay. And hopefully this makes sense. I'd like to move on, unless you have any question just based on this. Okay, we're all good. If you still have homework problem or homework question, you can still email me. And I did receive email from people, and that's really good. And they correct some of the answers. In fact, this problem, this problem we just talked about, the math count solution is wrong. And I'm very glad some students find it and we are able to correct it. Good job. Now let's go back to today's material. So today I plan to, ideally we should go over equation, but well, we kind of ran out of time. Equation is something that embedded, right? Embedded to all the problems. And so far we have started a lot of problems with the equation. We have been able to form equations. We kind of touched base on that already. So I would like to, if we have time, I'm going to go over some word problem just to train your skill to form equation. But if we don't have time, I'm going to just leave this to your homework, okay? And then now I want to jump to quadratic. So we never officially introduced quadratic formula. So today let's do this. It's nothing fancy, but it does require some memory. And I believe it was introduced in grade 6. Maybe grade 5, I don't know. But here's it. So for any generic quadratic form, meaning you have highest order of variable of 2, okay? X squared plus bx plus c equals 0. There should be in general, 2 roots. So I would say 2 roots always, but it's possible the 2 roots are equal, okay? So the 2 roots would be, or 2 solution would be 2a in the denominator, negative b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac. Okay, this is generic solution. And specifically, in this example, x squared minus 3x minus 40, if you just use this formula, you get 2a negative b, which is 3 plus minus 3 squared minus 4ac. And you can get the result. So 2 in denominator and numerator would be 3 plus minus 13. So you have 2 solution. When it's plus, that's 16 over 2, that's 8. As minus, it's negative 10 over 2, it's negative 5. So theoretically, using this formula, you can get all the solution of quadratic equation. So that's it. Don't overthink about this, memorize this and apply it, okay? And there is some cases that when b squared minus 4ac is not a positive number, then we kind of run into trouble. But that's when we introduce imaginary solution. But I won't focus on this. You just need to know that there is a case the imaginary number can come up to this picture. But as I said, don't even pay attention to it at this point. Okay, then it's a very special case about when x squared equals to a number, meaning we don't have b, or b is equal to 0. And this is the time we can quickly write x equals to plus minus square root a. It's very obvious, but you just need to memorize this correctly, okay? In the application, I saw a lot of all weird mistakes by this simple form. So just memorize them, no other trick. When you see this, go for this, okay? Another possible case is when the equation is very obvious for you to transform into things like this, then you can quickly get the answer without using this formula. You can still use it, but it's more obvious when you see in this way, right? So this is specifically happened when the x coefficient and the constant has some kind of relation. The constant would be a product of 2 numbers, and the coefficient of x is the sum with a negative sign. For example, x squared plus 9x plus 18. This is very obvious. Oh, wait, is this correct? Yeah. What would be the expression to make them to make it factorized like this? Which 2 numbers can form a product in here and a sum of here? Anyone? Oh, go ahead. You don't have to raise your hand. Just go ahead, speak. Chloe.
3 and 6.
3 and 6. Perfect. Chloe, what's your group number?
2.
2. Okay, thank you. Yeah, 3, 6. So 3, 6, 3 times 6 is 18. 3 plus 6 is 9. So you can easily make it x plus 3, x plus 6. So the solution would be -3, -6. Okay. Really nothing more in here. Just need to practice problems and make sure you get the correct answer. Any question? Shouldn't be any fancy questions so far. I'm going to skip all these and directly let's go into inequality. Okay. So we just introduced the quadratic equation, but let's talk about inequality, quadratic inequality. And let's find example of x squared minus x minus 6. Instead of make it 0, let's make it greater or equal 0. And let's just make it simple. -6 this equation has 2 solutions, which is 3 and -2. So we write it in this way. Okay. And the ask is this whole thing needs to be greater or equal than 0. Then these two must be both positive or both negative, right? So if we want both positive, what will be the range of x? Speak up if you can. So when x must be greater than 3 and x must be greater than what? In here?
-2.
-2. Very good. So, but they have to be both satisfied. So x should be greater than what?
-2.
Uh-oh. No.
Wait, no, 3. 3,
No,
3, 3, 3, 3.
no. Okay. Make sure you think this through, okay? You have to satisfy both, so it has to be greater than 3. Anything greater than 3 will automatically greater than -2, okay? So this is why x must be greater than 3, or if the both of them needs to be negative, then x must be smaller or less than 3, and x must be less than what?
-2.
-2. So to satisfy both, we have to pick x less than -2. Okay. So overall solution would be either x is greater than 3 or x is less than -2. So that's the range. If you have an x in between, for example, 1 or 0, it won't work, right? So this is how you get the answer. But in general, you have a form of inequality, quadratic inequality like this. Okay, if it's greater than 0, we ask that a is greater than 0. Okay, now what if a is less than 0? I will ask you after this. Okay, so when a is greater than 0 and this whole thing is greater than 0, then the solution should be x either greater than the bigger solution, bigger root, or x is less than the smaller root. Okay, and the fair question here is, what if x1 equals x2? What would happen to this solution? Anyone? Look, I need to be greater or equal to the bigger one, or I need to be less than the small one. But what if these two are equal? Give me a example of the two roots are equal case.
Is it x can be equal to x1 and x2?
X Can you repeat the question? I didn't quite get it.
No, I think the answer would be x is equal to x1 or it is equal to x2.
Okay, let me see. So x, so you have, if the two are equal, it just means you can be anything in here. My one example is, let's say x minus 5 square greater or equal to 0. This is, you have only one, or you can say you have two roots, but they're equal. They're equal to 5. And in this case, x can be anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just what we want to know. So now to the other case, when this is less than 0, then the solution will be the x must be in between the two solution, two roots, okay? And again, what if x1 equal to x2 in this case? Go ahead. Think out loud is okay. Don't be afraid of mistake. You won't lose anything. Yeah, maybe same example, right? What if it's less? What if this is less than 0 or less or equal to 0? What we got? Let's say if this whole thing square is less than 0, do we have a solution?
No, because anything square cannot be less than 0.
If less than equal 0, then
Well, then yeah.
we
well-
have how many solutions?
1.
1.
1. So we just only when x equals to 5, it can satisfy the equal to 0. If it's less than 0, there won't be any solution, right? So this is what we have in here. I'm just give you extreme case so that after you knowing this, there's nothing you'll be afraid when you see any quadratic inequality, and you know what to do. And if you think a little bit more, how does it look like from a graph? It'll be something like this, okay? In a coordinate system, I did very well in the x one, horizontal one. So this is x, this is y, and if y equals this whole thing, right? This is y, okay? Now the graph how does the graph look like? It'll be something like this, right? So it will has some kind of minimum value, and it will touch x horizontal axis with 2 points. These 2 would be the root, right? Because this is when y equals to 0, right? If this whole thing is less than 0, we need y to be less than 0. So you can only have the range in this area, right? In between the two solutions. But if you want them to be greater than 0, then it has to be either greater than this solution or less than this solution, right? This is how it looks like. And in a case like this, this graph will have only one intersection with X. So it will be something like this, right? It's going to be something like this. It just touched here. There's only one root in here. Okay. So this is how you kind of graph this inequality thing. Okay. Hopefully I didn't confuse you too much, but essentially you want to know once you get a root and you know how to deal with the inequality using this way, okay? Or this way. Now, what if A is less than 0? Can somebody tell me what should I do?
Can you repeat the question? My internet kind of cut out.
What if, see, in all I'm doing here right now is to assume A is greater than 0. Okay, A is greater than A is a positive number here. But what if A is a negative? What do we do? How do we solve this inequality? Remember, all these formula will assume A is greater than 0. Okay. Now, my question is, what if A is less than 0 in here? What if I'm like this? I have negative x squared plus 4x minus 7 greater than 0. How do you solve this?
Does it matter? Because if X is going to be squared, it's going to be a positive.
It does matter. This has to be satisfied before you can use this way. Okay, so if you look at the graph again, if you have something negative, it's going to be something like this. So everything will be, if you want this greater than 0, it's actually in between the two solutions now, right? So why? Can anybody tell me what do we do in here if we want to use this way? How do we deal with this?
I think it was x1 is less than A, which is less than x2.
Yeah, based on the graph, but this is, so typically we have A greater than 0. And what if A is not greater than 0? See, it doesn't give you a different answer, right? It didn't say, okay, if A is less than 0, let's do it the other way. It didn't say that. So why? What would you do when you have this thing? What's the rule of inequality here when we deal with negative number? No?
The signs change.
If you multiply by a negative
Say
number,
somebody said sign change. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, who is talking? And just one person talking, please.
Ethan.
No, I can't hear you.
Ethan.
Okay, Ethan. So what do you say about what to do with this one?
So will the inequality sign change when it's a negative, both sides?
Can you be clear? You mean here becomes negative, it becomes less, but what do we do on this side?
you have to change the sign, change the positive. You have to, when you multiply by a negative, the signs change.
That's the answer I'm expecting. So you want to change all the sign by, can consider times -1 here. So all the sign change, all the sign change, all the sign change, but you have to change this too. Okay, this is the rule I want you to remember. How do I go back to my mouse? Okay, here. All right, so this is a rule. So deriving inequality will follow all the same rules of equation. So you all know what to do. You can do multiply, you can do plus, minus, and do all the operation you want, except we cannot multiply 0 on both sides. It's probably obvious for you right now, but remember in algebra, we don't know the value. So we want to make sure you can't multiply 0. And then you are encouraged to multiplying negative number, but don't forget to change the sign. Okay, this is exactly what we want to do. So if this a is less than 0, you make it -a minus bx minus c and make this less than 0. So now -a is a positive number. Then you can use this rule. Okay. Anyone has question? Okay, I'm just gonna put on this page. Okay, so exactly same rules of equation, except no multiply 0. Okay, and no dividing 0 as well. Do you know that already, right? And when you're multiplying negative number, or you can say when you're multiplying or dividing negative number, change the sign. Okay. All right, let's continue with absolute. I feel this wasn't really mentioned in any topic, but I feel a lot of mistakes when dealing with absolute value. There's no trick here. Just remember, just memorize all these. Really use them. Use this knowledge. If you have an equation about absolute value, then this is equivalent to say x is equals plus minus a. That's it. They are equivalent. Okay. And if x absolute value is greater than 0 than a, then it's equivalent to x is either greater than a or x is less than negative a. Okay, this is obvious, right? Or when we have x absolute value less than a, then it's equivalent to say x is in between negative a to a. We all require a is at least a non-negative number. Let's say a is positive, most likely. So really remember these, use them. Anytime you have absolute value, they don't escape all these basic things. These are fundamental things to do. Okay, let's try one problem by your own. Let's give it a minute or so. If you're done, you can raise your hand digitally. Should have some result now. Anyone wants to volunteer?
Yes, I can.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Okay, so
What's your group number again? Sorry.
My group number is number 3.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
So I know with absolute values, so we drop the bars for absolute value. I think to give us 4x plus 3 plus 3 is greater than 9, which is then could be turned into 10 plus x is greater than 9, which is what I think the answer is.
What's your final answer?
10 plus x is greater than 9.
Well, eventually you need to solve x. What's the range of x?
The x is like, I guess, 3. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Might
okay.
be
That's okay. Let's see. Anybody else wants to comment on this one? I see a lot of.
Can I say one?
Is it David?
It's
No.
Nishk.
Anish?
Nishk.
Oh, Nish. Go ahead, Nish.
So my answer was x is greater than negative 6/4, or x is less than, or sorry, and x is less than negative 4 1/4.
Okay. How did you get there?
Okay, so for the first one, I just did it normally, where x is just positive, and then you get x is 6/4. Sorry, x is greater than negative 6/4. And then for the other one, I did everything, but I dropped the absolute value signs and I made it negative x minus 3,
Mhm.
and then I did it.
Okay. The method is all correct, and but I just want to mention we have this formula, right? So this is what we just covered. So we should try to use them, meaning we can we try to simplify this. Because the absolute value, we don't have to touch it, but the rest of things can be simplified first. Okay, I have some result in here. Okay, this may be too fast, but let me add the one intermediate step here. So we have this thing, so we can minus 3 on both sides. Remember, this can be like equation thing, right? We can minus 3 on both sides. And for example, now we get 4x plus 3 greater than 6, right? So just minus 3 on both sides. This still hold. And then I divided by 4 on both sides. So this is where Nish just mentioned we have the 6/4, which is 3/2, right? I think this is yeah, this is where we are right now. Okay, this is how we get to here. So now we have absolute value. Now is greater than something, we should use this formula here, right? So it means either my x plus 3 must be greater than 3/2, or the x plus 3 must be less than negative 3/2. Okay, so for this is you can divide by 3 on both sides, right? So x greater than negative 3/2. This is the solution for the first one. Or from here, x plus 3 is less than negative 3/2. So you minus 3 on both sides. You get x is less than negative 9/2. So essentially we have a range of this. So always use this. This is safe. This is very safe. Don't open the x plus 3 value just yet, right? You open it up, you have to assume x plus 3 is a positive number, right? Which you might mess up later, right? Of course, it will satisfy. Happen to this problem, it happens to be the case. But in general, we don't want to touch this until we have to. So in this form, we can touch the absolute value, can remove it by using this formula, okay? In general, if we say, okay, let's assume, so assume x plus 3 is greater or equals to 0, and we can remove it, and we try to solve x. And don't forget, we will come back, right? We come back to see if this is still satisfied. So this is a little bit tricky. So the safest way is using this way, using the formula. You should be all safe, no mistake. Okay, thanks for the presentation here. Now, I think we have 15 minutes, so let me quickly see what else do we have.
Excuse me, I want to ask a question about AMC 10.
I prefer going a little bit further before we go into AMC 10. I'll leave a few minutes for you to ask questions. Okay. Yeah, I want to cover the sequence and series just briefly, because this, just like the inequality equation, quadratic equation, there are a lot of formulas to memorize. There's not much, I'd say not much tricks, not like numbers, counting, not like those. These things, if you memorize things, you know what formula to use, you'll get the points. So I'd like to cover that before anything else. So sequence, series. Sequence is a list of numbers. Series is a sum of that sequence. And we have arithmetic sequences. That means the difference between two consecutive terms is the same. And for arithmetic sequences, this is all you need to know. Okay, this is all you need to know. So the nth term would be an equals a1 plus n minus 1d, where d is the difference between two. This is the common difference. That's all you need. So this is how you get any term if you know the first term and if you know the d, okay? And then any random two terms, the difference would be their index difference times d. Okay, if you look at this, if you know this, and the first formula is actually a special case of this, right? If you put j as n and k is 1, and that's exactly the first formula, okay? And the third one is the series, or you can say the sum of the n terms would be first plus last times the number of terms divided by 2. Okay, try to be familiar with this sign here. Sigma means the summation. There's a lot of usage of them. The sigma, the bottom one is showing the index from beginning to the end. So this means I is the general term, and I can be starting from 1 to n. So it's a1 plus a2 plus a3, and then plus an. Okay, so this is the sigma expression. But the formula really just the first term plus last term times the number of terms divided by 2. Okay. Sometimes we can also say this is the, say, if we have odd number of terms, this will be equal to the mid term times n, right? Because a1 plus an divided by 2 it would be just equal to the midterm for a arithmetic series sequences. Okay. Another important sequences is geometric sequences. Unlike the arithmetic, this is a ratio between the two consecutive term is the same. Okay. Again, we have three formulas here. Nth term is the first term times q to the power of n minus 1. So q is a ratio between the two, okay? Similar to this, any two terms ratio is equals the q, the ratios with exponent of the index difference, okay? And this probably needs a little bit more memory power to remember. The series, which means the summation of the nth term, is a1, which is the first term, times numerator is 1 minus q with the order of power of n, and the denominator is 1 over q. It depends on q's, whether q is greater than 0 and 1 or less than 1. It might be easier for you to remember this is equivalent to, say, q to the nth minus 1 divided by q minus 1. It just is equivalent, okay? You don't have to always use 1 minus q to the n. It can be backwards if you do both numerator and denominator. I feel like I need to write this down. Yeah, I'm just write this down. Okay, so all I need is you will know what I mean. Qn minus 1 divided by q minus 1. Okay, this is all what I mean. They're all equivalent because I just multiply -1 on both numerator and denominator. So this is more friendly if q is a big number greater than 1, and this is more friendly for fraction, things like that. Okay, spend some time to memorize them, and let's do one problem here. Let's go for this. Let's spend 2 minutes for this one. And then we'll go back, we'll go to the AMC. Okay, we still have some time in there. You need the formula. If you can go back, if you take a snapshot, I can go back so you can look at it. Okay, I just put in here. Maybe instead of take snapshot in this page, and we go back to the problem, which one is better?
I'll take a screenshot of this page and then go to the problem.
Okay, let's do that. All done? Let's go. Okay, I think that's long enough. Do we have any volunteer? Landon, are you raising your hand? Guess that's a no. Okay, anybody? Okay, if not, let's go over together. Okay, so remember this is something we mentioned about average when we have odd number of terms, that's kind of triggering some kind of trick here, right? So we have 3 term here, so 3 terms adding together will be 3A7, right? So because A7 would be the midterm, and the first equation basically tells us what A7 is, okay? So I can just write it down here. The first equation means 3A7 is 17. So A7 equals 17 over 3. Very similarly, so if you look at this one, this has 11 terms, so it's odd. So the middle term happened to be 9. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So A9 is the middle term, and we have 11 terms total. So it's 11A9 equals 77. So now we have A9 equals to 7. So we have A7, we have A9, then we can find D, right? So D is A9 minus A7 divided by 2 because of this formula, right? This one, okay? So we got D is 2 over 3. And now we want to find what AK is 13, right? So we can just start from 9, okay? Let's say if we have A9, okay, just to make sure you are following me, we're still using this, okay, still using this. Difference is one is K, one is 9, okay? So one is K, one is 9, so AK equals A9 plus K minus 9 over D. Multiplied by D, and that's 7 plus the whole thing. You just substitute everything you know, and this should equal 13. Then you can solve K equals 18. Okay, so it means the 18th term will have a value of 13. Okay. Yeah, you see, you just try to use this back and forth, right? This is so useful. Just keep using them. And always know the 2 terms difference is always the index difference times the D. Okay. Yeah, I think I'd like to stop here. We still have a lot of things to cover, but I think the fundamental concept is completed. And we're going to do some more problems for you to get familiar with them, of course. So now, Dylan, do you have a question on MC 10?
Yes, how do we get to that quiz?
I'm going to share the Google form, and I'm going to control the time. Okay. Right now, just take a quick minute if you need to go to restroom or you need sketch paper and pen. Make sure it's all set up. The purpose is for you, one, show you what MC10 looks like. I only give 5 problems, but this 5 probably is the mid or high difficulty, not the highest one, okay, not the most difficult one. Get a feeling how that looks like. And B, this will be used to evaluate if you should go in there. So it's kind of a qualification test per se. this only takes 50% of the weight, but the other 50% would be your homework, past homework, assignments, and in-class credit. Okay, any more question before I paste the link? Because once I paste link, I'm gonna start to collect, to get the time, and I'm going to look at the submission time. So if you submit more than that, it's considered disqualified. Why am I so strict? Because this will happen in real AMC 10, and there won't be a second more left on you. Okay. Okay, let me go look for my form. Okay, is everybody back? Maybe I should leave 1 more minute. We start at 7:02. Now I need to know if this is subject. Okay, let me paste it, and if there's any issues, let me know. Okay. Okay, let's go to the chat window. Let me stop the sharing and stop recording.